Aloha. I wanted to do a video in reference to a few things, but really to start off and to create an overview of the idea of the end of the world. These words that get thrown out in our consciousness, our culture, that have a meaning. They have an actual, like the word, like in the last few videos I was speaking on words and the power of words. We can see words as words used to enslave people. Words are used to do so much, and you can use them for the positive or the negative. And when you utilize the balances of word energy, word magic, word alchemy for the expansion of consciousness, then you are dancing in the soul essence, the particular reasons or purpose that you chose to experience when you manifested into this physical reality. Being that you are a spirit in a physical vessel, in your waking space, then you have, and you know you have a meaning and a purpose. There's obviously a meaning and a purpose for you to be here. When we are sleeping, there's a meaning and a purpose to our dreams. When you are in a meditative space, there's a meaning and a purpose to whatever pops into the focus of that reality. There's a meaning and a purpose to the nothingness that you experience when you're in that zone. There's a meaning and a purpose to the psychedelics that are available to the human experience. There's a meaning and a purpose to all of these things. And when you can understand the meaning and a purpose of prescription drugs, which contribute to so many deaths and so much sickness and disease and separation amongst the family, amongst the individual and their own soul, their own reality. When you understand alcohol and what that does to the family, when you understand cigarettes, all this legal, like completely okay. Like I saw something the other day that said, if I take one puff of a blunt or a joint, because that blunt paper is fucking horrible for you. So if you're still smoking blunts, don't start smoking some natural papers. Anyway, if you take one puff of a joint, you won't get hired for a job, but you can get shit-faced drunk after every day of work and completely drunk every moment of the day on the weekends, and you'll be hired for that job. Like, that's completely okay. You can do all that. You can do all the side effects to getting drunk, all that too, and you'll still get a job. But you take one puff from one hit of a bong or something, then you won't be hired, which is just a natural plant. No, hasn't been synthesized or anything. Alcohol goes through all the distillation process and everything that's involved in that, and then the side effects, the collectively known side effects of it. The word makes that legal and makes cannabis illegal. That's what that's the power of words. That's what that does. The power of words has convinced people to worship scientism and NASA and politics. The power of word has created a system called religion that has created this idea of a destructive God that hates you, that has contributed to the most deaths, the most asinine and dark events that have taken place on a human scale. This is an actual magic. This is an actual thing. Somebody was asking me on a comment about the blood over intent thing that's going around on the internet, and that's like, to me, like when I saw it, I first saw it a while ago, when it first started to come about, and it really didn't like it really didn't click with me as much as it clicks for some people. Like, I was never guided to do that and that whole thing, mostly because it's in response to the program, the system. When you inherently have a power, an energy that already outweighs, outshines that experience that the blood over intent ritual is working against, or working to get out of. There's so many different ways that you can approach a particular event, a particular experience, whatever it is. Rituals are one way, but by no means they are not the only way you can approach any sort of thing. It's part of our experience. It does matter in so many ways, but there's also other ways to approach situations. Some people need to use rituals. There's nothing wrong with that. That's fine. When I use the word ritual, some people have like a problem with that. That's on you. It's just an experience. Like, people are engaged in rituals and they don't even know it, really. Like, when you're watching the Super Bowl, that's a ritual. When you're watching these television shows, and then they flip to these commercials, and then these mini commercials, and then these flashes of commercials, and then these the news, like all that's a ritual. Like, all this stuff is a ritual. Voting, I can't believe I almost forgot that. Voting is a ritual. Like, if you want to know more about rituals and that kind of information, look at check out Chiron Last. He doesn't really go into necessarily the rituals, but from my perspective right now, I'm breaking down words and how the world is, the artificial, the synthetic world is designed. You can see that everything that involves words coming from so-called individuals of power, that's a damn ritual. And so I think I pretty much spoke on that issue. But yeah, the word in reference to the end of the world, it's like the Armageddon and all this other stuff, and it's definitely an atmosphere that's a part of the program. It's a part of the system in many ways. And I just wanted to bring it up because in the world of words, those words are very connected to a great number of things that are both heavily engaged in our individual and our collective realities. And how I see it, because people throw it out there, and it really does have an effect on the individual, and it really does have an effect on the collective. The end of the world, how I see it, and coming after the video where I was talking about the language of time, is really about the language of our reality, the language of our experience. When you factor in the Mayan calendar and the end of the Mayan calendar, 2012, and that whole thing, and really not having any more information on what will happen after that time frame, how I see it is the end of a world is different than the end of the world. The end of a world is the world of synthetic reality, the world of vicarious living, the world of the vicarious soul. The truly activated human consciousness experience its reality for what it is, at least in the beginning stages. Right now we're moving into that, because like I said, the synthetic reality is based upon control, limitation, barely keeping you alive in order to vampire off of your energies. This is what NASA is. This is what CERN is. When I reference CERN in the past in reference to the Mandela effect, it's the same sort of thing. You can take that perspective of, well, this Mandela effect is involved in our memory, in our reality, in our experience in some kind of way. Many people are seeing that this exists. The old world, to keep itself alive, has to have game players in whatever it is that we are experiencing. So this is why you have these holidays throughout the year, to control your consciousness, to control your time banks, these timings. So every day has, if you go into the Tolkien calendar, you'll see that every day has a different vibration. Every day has a different name. Every day has a different code, in a sense, or a horoscope. It has Tolkien, I think it's Tzolk'in. I think that's how you spell it. But if you look into that, you'll see that the Mayans were very engaged in the frequencies of this reality. Not just, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. There's an actual frequency of the day. And it can be translated, and has been translated, into words. There's even an app. I have an app on this little tablet that shows you the frequencies of the day. And I've seen, and I check it after I do my videos too, a lot of the times. I'll check the Tolkien calendar and see what day it is, and because those are vibrations, those are frequencies, and I'll see that, like, what I was speaking on, or how I was speaking, like the energy that I was tapping into, was very related to the energy of the day. And people can go, oh yeah, well, that's just how your perspective, whatever it is. But when you do something every day, however people are going to see it, when you do something every day, you start to see trends. You start to see certain things. So I've been seeing that for a couple of years now. So I would definitely check that out if you haven't heard of it. But the frequency of words are very heavy duty. It's like Dr. Masaru Emoto's water crystals I shared in the Beast Program documentary. If people don't know about that, you can actually program your water to a certain vibration. So if you write hate on the side of it, it's going to create a vibration in that crystal, which is the water. It's a liquid crystal. Just as if you were put love or happiness or joy or compassion on the side of that water, it'll make another crystal. Dr. Masaru Emoto went into this. And you can see that your body is 70%, 70 plus percent water. And so you are being programmed by the television. You're being programmed by this mainstream music, this this is not even music. When you know like Earth, Wind and Fire and Marvin Gaye, Stevie Wonder, when you know the energies, the vibrations of that kind of music, that's actual harmonics, actual music. Just like you can understand the shift from 432 frequencies to 440. There's an actual reason why these vibrations are being manipulated into our reality. There's a reason why pop culture was invented. As microwave as it is, there's a reason why MTV came out at the time frame it did and started playing the music that it was playing and wasn't playing the music that it wasn't playing. There's a reason why, and it deals with the energies of our experience. And it goes down to the words, and people defend those reasons. Those microwave synthetic reality reasons get defended by words. The news, the mainstream news, the alternative news, the alien agenda, the so-called conscious community, the the new age, in reference to the new age, that's in reference to the new age community. They all control vibrations of humanity with words. Words get people taken out. Words get people living their lives again, motivated in not the synthetic reality, in their soul essence. Poetry, spoken word, music. These are heavy duty. It's a pure vibration. So you're going into the throat chakra. It's a pure vibration. Once you've healed and activated your root chakra, your sacral chakra, so connecting with nature, with your family, your soul family, connecting with your relationship to yourself, your divine feminine, divine masculine balances, electric magnetic frequencies, going up into the solar plexus and understanding your fire, your willpower, sending the foundation for your compassionate space in your heart chakra reality, your bridge to the allness, your love, not just for yourself, but yourself, your family, the all that is, nature, everything is kind of caked with this layer of compassion that stems from the infinite space that you are understanding as your reality, as opposed to the individualistic, materialistic version of who you thought you were when you were stuck in the halfway manipulated, the half style activations of the lower chakras, the lower bodies, the physical reality. When you get into that space, you can start to get into the higher chakras, into the throat and the third eye, tapping into the spirit essence, the allness of the crown chakra. The throat chakra, the word is the pure word, the word that has a meaning, a purpose that is not. It can't be fucked with in any kind of the material realms. You're tapping into the layers of truth that people don't need to fact check, like this whole like Trump and Hillary shit. That shit needs to be fact checked because it's based upon the materialistic version of reality. There's a different language. It's a different kind of word when you're speaking from the essence of life itself. And this world that is dying, this end of this world that is crashing and burning right before our eyes, is a synthetic world. It's the vicarious soul that I mentioned in the video before last. It's the individual who lives in the American dream based upon the fiat currency system, based upon the maritime admiralty system, based upon the illusions of NASA, the illusions of the university system, the universe that gets created by the synthetic puppeteers for the individual and the collective to be manipulated through the public education system, through the university system, into their own reality until they fucking die. Like that's a lifetime ritual. And when you start to break those actual spells that's what a spell is. It's a word. You're spelling a word. Those words combined with other words that have been spelled creates a ritual. That ritual gets activated into the consciousness of your children, into their subconscious reality with all these cartoons and all these television shows, into the fear programming that you install as the parent into those children without even realizing it, with just being around them, their bubbles, walking through your bubbles during a certain event, during a certain TV show, during a certain moment, during a certain conversation. These are all codes that are affecting the crystalline structure of the water, the programmable water that our blood is. So water is just like the baseline. So if you're doing like a test, like scientists doing tests or whatever, as the baseline would be like water, like the pure water. Your blood is actually crystal water. It's like a quartz. It's a liquid quartz, a programmable, an infinite crystal that you are walking around as. And when you go to sleep, that's the anchor for your dream space. Having that crystal anchored here along with the activation of consciousness being engaged in this reality is a shockwave through all of the dimensions, through all of your experiences. This is why it's so important to be engaged in your soul work when you're here. We take it for granted because we've been programmed to take this life, this experience for granted because this collective experience has been programmed to be taken for granted on purpose so that we don't understand the divinity of our individual experience and our collective experience, so that we may be controlled by the so-called powers that be. We are controlled by these lower vibrations: fear, destruction, sickness, disease, genetically modified foods, fluoridated water, vaccines, heavy metals, chemtrails in the sky, malt liquor, the manganese in the malt liquor. If you haven't seen the last video where I mentioned that, check that out. Alcohol itself, prescription drugs, all these low, dense vibrations that, in a sense, control our reality. That's creating the empty vessel. So we are the consciousness experiencing this reality through this vessel, and this crystalline vessel that is divine in so many ways is manipulated to be dumbed down, to be dumbed down to its lowest common denominator, to its lowest vibration, so that when we live our days every day, what the fuck is going on? When we live our days, we're not living our days. We are just working at jobs where, what in the hell is going on over there? so much like noise going on around here. It's like throwing me off. Anyway, we're working outside of ourselves. So it's like the vicarious soul, like I mentioned before. When you are feared into a reality that is not your own, then you are... I had to pause it for because there was like having a phone conversation on a damn intercom at that school. It was ridiculous. So back to it, like the vicarious soul. We are being manipulated to think and act a certain way through these rituals, through these spells, through these words on a regular basis. This is the world that is ending. This is the world they are referencing to that is ending. The so-called powers that be, the system itself, in order to expand itself, is utilizing that fear, that natural ending, to sell in another version of the old version of the world that's ending, to sell in a new version of that world. And they can only sell it into you if you are so vibrating on such a low vibration that you will just believe anything. You're so powerless. That's the main thing, to take your power away. And this is what politics is all about. This is what the whole voting is about. When they're telling you, when they get their lackeys out there, their artificial demigods out there in your face and tell you to vote, those people are to pull on your heartstrings to tell you to give your power away. They're telling you in a comedic way. I saw Aziz Ansari did one. I saw like Leonardo DiCaprio and all these, Jennifer Lawrence, like all these people have done these videos to convince you to give your power away to a system that keeps them rich, that keeps them also in power. So the some part of the power in this system is, when the fiat currency is running, is money. These people get paid millions of dollars to convince you into these rituals. Movies, commercials, YouTube videos, they're all designed to make you, to create a vibration. When you start to feel that vibration, when you understand like the trending page and feel the vibration of the trending page, like what they are trying to make you, just look at it as one story. Just like you can look at a television show along with the commercials as one story, and a television show with another television show, and a television show with the news as one movie, one story. It never stops. This is an actual vibration that gets created, excuse me, that gets created on purpose. Everything is on purpose. You can even listen to your Pandora. All the way the music is designed, the music that gets played right before a commercial and the music that gets played right after a commercial, these are algorithms. These are very thought about processes that are not for your benefit. They are for the benefit of consumption. They are for the benefit of you giving your power away to make another system rich, in a sense, or more energetic. The idea of this system through generations is to control with fear, control with enslavement. It's not new. These systems didn't die. They didn't go away. They got more complex. Like I mentioned in a previous video, when the civil rights came out in the 60s, all those angry, wanting to lynch people, like people they were fighting for the right to lynch people, to enslave people. Like, this is what the opposition, there was an actual opposition to the civil rights in the 60s. What was that opposition? What were the intentions with that opposition? What were they trying to protect? They were trying to protect a system of power over another, many groups of people, men, women, so-called minorities, women, everything. They were trying to protect that destructive mentality that comes from it wasn't just like a thing that happened as a result of slavery in the United States. No, this is a definite program that has been going on for a very long time, that has been coddled into this system to where it's set the platform of desensitization. A race of people, a collective of people so desensitized, so powerless, so lacking of fire that they will enslave themselves. This is what is happening today with technology, with the university system, the defending of the colonial program, the defending of the soft enslavement program that is known today as the Western world, Western civilization, Western medicine, Western education, Western everything. This is what those students at UCT at Cape Town were talking about in reference to science must fall. Talking about the half-assed version of science at best that has no relation to nature. It's actually keeps itself afloat by the destruction of nature. We get manipulated on a regular basis, just like King Leopold went into the Congo and killed 10 million people and dismembered millions, tens of millions more, and enslaved that entire area for the minerals, for the control of that land, for the destruction, for the soaking of that land. That happened from 1885 to 1908. In the 60s, Prime Minister Lumumba was taken out by the CIA and Belgium. Mostly Belgium. Belgium was still... Okay, so Belgium was still in control of the Congo at this time frame. And all the individuals in the France and the CIA, how they worked together, the colonial program was working together. They worked to take this man out. And it's been brought to the surface. It's been known for decades. But it's common knowledge now that they are admitting to this stuff. The very nation that has convinced people to vote for Hillary and vote for Donald Trump and vote for Obama. That same system that took out its own president, that took out Martin Luther King, that took out Malcolm X, that took out Gandhi, that took out John Lennon. The countless number of people that have been taken out that speak for the benefit of the soul essence, connecting with nature, that is against this colonial program. So when they're talking, like I referenced, the world, the end of the world, it's the end of the colonial program. There's even stories going around about Hillary taking people out that speak out against her stuff. that have released information about her. There's a whole laundry list of people that have died that are directly connected to her circle. This is not a new story. This is the same story that is existing and has existed. And it's not connected only to one nation. This is around the entire earth plane. You can take it all the way up into the globe model and how that's enslaved people. You can take it all the way into the university system and how that not only psychologically enslaves people, but financially enslaves people to their death. People are killing themselves because they're in debt, killing themselves because this is why I said the power of word is so it's down to the soul. It goes down to the soul. And people are starting to realize the words that we have been spelled into enslaving ourselves with over many generations. And the reason why we get locked into the distraction desensitization program is because we don't connect the dots within the language of time. We compartmentalize our reality based upon the so-called past, which is the past that gets focused on by the mainstream environment. The so-called present, which gets focused on by the mainstream environment. And the so-called future that's a focus of the mainstream environment. That is an actual spell that gets cast on the individual and the collective. This is where the difference is, where people are like heavy duty into politics and they're defending politics and will even fight people over politics, and then people who expand out to that and then go into realizing the stories behind the stories, like the so-called conspiracy theories. And then even further than that, go into reconnecting with the spirit, understanding the soul and the spiritual warfare of how all these stories interrelate. These are layers that we have to challenge ourselves to transcend in order to experience our reality on a higher vibration. Because these Trump and Hillary vibrations, these CIA taking people out, the U.S. State Department taking people out, this is all a vibration that runs on fear. This is an actual world. The university system, the universe that gets created by the university system, that gets protected by the State Department, by the colonial program, that is an actual world. That is the world that is ending. That world is ending. When people say the end of the world, that world is ending. And if you are heavily connected to that world, like if more of your reality is based upon that world, like you live in the ego, in that soul essence of that world, then a part of you will end. But the experience, the consciousness of the soul of the human individual and collective will never end. It will continue to expand. So if you have been convinced with rituals, with magic, to be more a part of a reality that is synthetic and is not your own, then yes, your world will end. A lot of these bankers, a lot of these people who are heavily invested in politics, yeah, their world is ending. All of those British royalty and all that shit is ending. It's already over. These are like the final death throes of these systems, and it will fight. The system will fight to keep itself afloat, and it's starting to fight now with the transhumanism agenda, the alien agenda, the ancient aliens, the television, the politics, whatever they do after this presidential, whether they keep Obama in there, because they did that with Eisenhower. When Eisenhower in World War II or World War I, whatever that time frame was, Eisenhower served 4 terms, and this is why they actually installed or brought about the 22nd Amendment, is because of Eisenhower. He basically said, well, we're in war right now, and it'd be against our highest whatevers to switch presidents out, so I'm just gonna chill. So that when I came about that information, I was like, oh, that makes sense for what might happen with Obama now and all this other stuff. He's like, oh, we're at war and we can't have a Hillary Clinton or a Donald Trump in charge of the United States, so I'm just gonna sit around and I'll be here, okay? Yeah, carry on. I'll just do another term. Or 2 or whatever. Meanwhile, bringing in the so-called global program that they've been working on. And that's what makes sense to me right now in reference to these death throes of this program dying, this world dying. It needs to protect itself. These celebrities that have been living on millions of dollars a month, they don't want to let that shit go. So they will get in front of a camera and tell you, go vote, go vote, go vote. Go be a powerless piece of shit so you can just keep this colonial program alive and keep us rich. Keep buying our movies. Keep being enslaved by this program. And we won't realize that this program, like when I mention this stuff, it's hard to see that the system itself is already crashed. It's already crashed and burned, but it's hard for people to see that because that's who they are. Like, they are their bachelor's degree. They are their master's degree. Some people are their doctorates. They are their jobs. They are their American dream. They are their cars. They are their everything that is in this synthetic reality. It's the vicarious soul. That world will end. It's already in its final time frame. That's the world that's ending. But the time, like at the end of the Mayan calendar, how I was seeing this, the time for that is done. It's done. You can't live vicariously anymore. If you choose that reality that is based upon a powerless, it's basically like you utilizing what would be a good example? It's like using a supercomputer to play solitaire for the rest of your life. That's the old world. Like, why would you go through all the trouble of creating a supercomputer, this divine human vessel, if you're just going to play solitaire for the rest of your experience? It doesn't make any sense. So that world that is based upon solitaire, desensitization, is that's the world that's ending. The world that is based upon genocide, massacre, sickness and disease for the benefit of the few, soaking of the people. This is why this information is coming about. This is why we are seeing these systems crash and burn. And when people defend these programs, like, oh, well, white supremacy doesn't exist, white privilege doesn't exist, the colonial program doesn't exist, it's like, really? That's the defense mechanism for the program itself. It's like politics, protecting the colonial program inside the individuals, down to, people sharing information, down to even in the comment sections. Like, you can't see the magic in some of this stuff. Putting black children in a zoo, in a human zoo in Belgium. This is for the mentality of the masses of that time, and the mentality of those who have been enslaved. This is only in 1958. This is the mentality of Belgium. This man in 1885 who did this, that led up to the assassination of Prime Minister Lumumba by the same system people are trying to defend right now. The only reason why people are defending this system, the new world, is because the words have changed. If we were to call it the colonial program instead of the United States of America, then people would see that this is different. Oh, wait a second. The colonial program of the world, that's a different energy. It's a different reality, because then you start to factor in the colonization of Africa, the colonization of Australia, the Polynesian Islands, New Zealand, all these military bases going all over the world. All these military bases, they gotta go. They gotta go. I was thinking about this in reference to something. What was it? I'll talk about that in another video because I can't think of what it was right now. But there's this land that gets controlled by the state. I'll go into that another time. But I want to stay on the mentality of this protection program for this lack of soul, really. And it's celebrated. It's celebrated and being expanded into the ritualistic versions of these dark energies. This is what technology is. When they're separating your psyche in the education system, separating you from your family, separating you from your culture. This is what the education system does. The next step is to separate you from your soul. Religion was part of that, but it was still in the guise of connecting you with your soul. So the next step after that is to completely separate you from your soul, not under the guise of connecting to your soul, which is the religion of science, the religion of the scientism community. This is why the university system is atheist. This system is based upon separating you from your soul essence, so that you may become a completely open, dead vessel, so that these disembodied entities may more so envelop or manifest into your reality. This demon possession. It's like demon possession light. It's the same shit. When they take the music out of your schools, when they take the art out of your schools, they are taking life, soul essence out of that reality. They're creating gaps, holes in your reality. And those gaps and holes get filled with lower vibrations. And attachments, parasites, get attached to those gaps. To fill those gaps. Technology, social media, everything that is around us is a gap filler. Because we're so empty. We've been emptied out with these lower vibrations. The lower vibrations counteract the energy centers that you exist as, your chakras. So grief, guilt, these are counteractive energies against your heart chakra. The artificial ego, the physical worshipping of your reality counteracts your soul, your solar plexus, your fire. So the artificial fire counteracts your soul fire. Elon Musk actually said, this was a little video in here. He said, and he's serious as a heart attack. With artificial intelligence, we are summoning a demon. Check that video out for yourself. He's not playing. This is actual shit that's going on. This is not a thing that is When you look at the rituals of the Super Bowl and all this so-called conspiracy stuff that's, behind the scenes with all these what I'm talking about. But this goes down there going for your children. This is why this is the Super Bowl and all. They know the kids are hanging out with the family, watching these rituals. They're sliding this shit into the cartoons, into these little movies here and there, talking about magic. And when they put it in the school, that kind of magic is the real magic. And then the TV kind of magic is the fake magic. So what are they doing? They're moving all of these systems into the mind control program of the public education system. So they have this after-school Satan club. Because people are so empty. They don't have anything to connect with. So they have to connect with something that has like a camaraderie. Like this is like what the military does. To have a camaraderie with your brothers and sisters in the army or the military, whatever you're in. We need that connection. So these are all time frames. Like if this were to come out when religion was still heavy duty, this is coming in during the implosion of the religion. So just as easily as people are reconnecting with their soul and their soul essence, the people who are still lost in that emptiness of the synthetic version of reality are now being chatteled into even lower vibrations of experience through these schools. This is an actual intent. This is a purpose. This is a meaning that's going on. When they get Amber Rose out there talking about the slut walk in reference to the expansion of the patriarchal program beating down the divine feminine, these kinds of responses are only existing within a version of reality, a box, a further gap creating reality under the guise, just like religion was under the guise of connecting you with spirit, but actually separates you and channels that energy into a specific version of reality. The same thing happens with the slut walk. It's like, yeah, you think you're connecting with something empowering, but that energy is being channeled into another system that is not your own. And we don't realize this. We don't realize this, that it's happening like this. So when these celebrities are doing this shit, they're just channeling that energy into these it's a childlike mentality. It really is the adolescent version of reality, because nobody graduated from high school, really, like the most high school. Nobody's graduated from there. High school is designed to keep you from entering the most high school. And everything and everybody that you engage with when you so-called graduate from high school is an extension of high school itself. The mentality. They even have the class presidents and all that stuff. That's the same thing. It's like vote for who you think's cooler. They don't, because deep down everybody knows that whatever happens is just going to happen. You know, the Senate's going to approve and the president vetoes. This is all a program designed to keep people at a certain vibration. High school, children mentality. And that mentality is, that world is the world that's actually dying. It's dead already. Its time is up. And people are starting to realize the deeper layers of our reality that ancient cultures have gone to and have already done and have expanded upon, which these these synthetic versions of reality are based on. And we are reconnecting with that which is organic, that is natural in every way. People are doing it in And however, whatever guides them first, you have the people in the New Age community connecting with the fairy realm and the gnomes and like all the unicorn and the mermaids and all this stuff. They're like, that's what they need to connect with. That's the energy that they need to anchor at this point. And then you have people working from other energy centers doing things a different way. And we're all going to meet in the middle. That's what happens. You meet, whether you go from the root to the crown or from the crown to the root, you're going to meet in the middle in the heart chakra. And that's what happens with, that's what's happening now with people who will not be trapped into the New Age agenda, the people who will not be trapped into the desensitization program in the root chakra enslavement. They will be expanding upon themselves and will meet in the center, in the bridge of allness. That's what is happening right now when people are starting to realize that these stories exist and that world has to go. Because in order for that world to go, it has to go within the individual first. The individual is the energy that is keeping the collective world afloat. Once that world dies in the individual, it cannot stay alive. It will have no blood. It will have no crystalline structure to exist. Once you realize that you are not property anymore, spiritually, on a soul level, you start to break those chains. And when you break those chains, like I said in reference to the blood over intent, there's a collective breaking of chains that happens on the entire allness that you are, that really doesn't need a ritual. Yes, rituals help, and they are part of some people's journeys. But this is a way of life. Like when you wake up in the morning, it's not something that you do, it's something that you are. Rituals are something that you do to help out who you are, who and what you are. But once you realize that what is shifting right now is in reference to who and what you are, in every moment, in every atom, in every part of your reality, then you are the ritual. Your thought patterns, each word, each action, that is the ritual of spirit. Your soul essence. You are the act of your highest vibration. You are walking as your meaning and your purpose. And how you get there, you can do certain things to get to that point, but really once you get to that point, that's the highest that you can walk in and as. And we're doing that. That's the world that is simultaneously being birthed into this reality. Because if there's a falling or a death, there's always going to be a birth. It's one thing. Since there is no death, there's only many births. So we see it as this world is ending or dying, or people say it all the time. The program itself utilizes that energy to sell in another program through low vibrations like fear. Oh, well, this world is crashing. Oh, Alex Jones does it a lot. So we got to do this. Trump. He's Americana. Trying to sell in a new world that is just the same old world. It's like old world 2.0. It's like, oh, that's new. It's like, no, it's the same shit. But on the other side, on the organic side, people are doing this, are tapping into their inner worlds. And that's what's being born into this reality. So that's basically all I had for this video, was to share my perspective on the quote of the end of the world, and the energies of words. So that's pretty much it. Thank you for joining me. And until next time, from all my relations, peace, love, and harmony.